for over 60 years now. And at the time, just the snapshot of us is we were originally founded by two World War II veterans who formed the company primarily as a civil engineering firm. And like all things, as we got more commissions and more clients, we added services over the past 60 years to really grow to the demand of also including architecture. So today we've got a pretty good size architecture group here. We've got interiors, and then we've got everything in-house with the exception pretty much of MEP systems engineering. So that's kind of us in a nutshell and just some of the fun things that have happened over the years. Today, we've got 6 offices throughout the region, with Savannah being our headquarters. A little bit about the leadership, and I know Shaderica said y'all are recording this, so this will be available to you guys if you want to come back to any of this information. We invite you to come see us on our website too and take a tour around. But as far as our leadership goes, we have 12 principals, and our CEO is Holmes Bell. His father is the Bell and Hussey Gay Bell. Mr. Gus Bell was one of the founders of the company, and his son took over in 2013. He will tell you it's actually 2012, but I'm pretty sure it's 2013. But he's been our leader since that time, and that's about the time that I joined the firm as well. We've got principal architects leading the firm, principal engineers. Of course, this is pretty standard for any firm. We have a lot of different folks doing a lot of different things on the leadership side. Kind of below that principal level, we have a bunch of different directors and department heads. I'm over marketing and business development. We've got folks over every single one of our divisions. So, you know, we've got Nathan on surveying, we've got military programs directors, water, sewer, etc. So we kind of structure our firm. It's a pretty flat organization, but we've got leadership and then department heads that kind of keep that day-to-day moving for each of the individual teams in-house. And the way our office is set up, it's really by different divisions within the company. So we try to keep those teams together, but collaborating with the other divisions, and it actually provides for pretty smooth communication internally. Some of the firms you've talked to probably don't have engineering in-house as well. So ours is pretty linked up and zippered up when we pursue projects. So what you're probably most interested in, who comprises our architecture team. We've got on the far left is Eric Johnson in the tie. He is the president of our architectural division. I'm sure some of the folks on here may know him. And here's the rest of our architecture family. We've got part of the team here in Savannah. And then we've got part of the team also in our Atlanta office. So they communicate just seamlessly via technology on all of our projects. Some of our Atlanta team members may be working on projects in Savannah. So it's pretty easy to do that in today's world. So we're just one cohesive team designing projects all over the state. And a lot of SCAD graduates again. All right, just a quick snapshot. I won't dive into this. Like I told you earlier, we do a lot of different things. We don't do everything. That drives me crazy when people say they do everything. We do a lot of different project types, but here's our core markets. So we do architecture, engineering, surveying, construction management in-house. And we pretty much operate in these 7 market segments. So a lot in the commercial space, residential. We'll dive into some of these projects so you can kind of see what we're doing in those spaces here in a minute, but we're really in about 7 markets. We can put everything we do in about 7 buckets. So our community internally, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but we're about 125 folks, 120, 125 at any given time, 6 offices, headquarters is here in Savannah. And we always like to say we have offices in some of the trendiest locations in the Southeast. So what's kind of fun is you might want to work for us, but you feel like moving to Nashville, well, just go work for us in Nashville. So a lot of the time we can move our people around. On our team, on the marketing side, we've got one of our team members who was originally in Savannah, wanted to move to Atlanta, so she just works for us in Atlanta. So we're pretty well adapted to that type of movement and employees these days, and we've got a lot of great locations you could certainly go work for us in. A little bit about culture. These are just some fun shots Danielle put together to kind of show you some of the things we do. We've been around a long time. We do a lot of things. Every year we donate tens of thousands of dollars to things in our community. This is just a small sample of some of those things that the firm is itself involved in. And then below that, just our employees themselves are engaged in so many different things in the community. So I think this is an important part of who we are and what we do, and giving back to communities that we have offices in, that we live in, that we work in. And this is pretty much the way most firms operate today, putting skin in the game in the communities that you have operations in, and we're really no different. But we do a lot, we have a good time doing it, and I think there's always opportunities for us to do more. So hopefully this will be another big year for us. So that's just a little snapshot there. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to show you a little quick video here, just to kind of show you our space then, and then I'm going to turn it over to Greg because he's ready to talk, I can tell, and would like to tell you more about projects. But this is just a quick little video that we put together, and you'll have to chuckle with us. We put it together with our own skill set to show you the space as quickly as possible. So it's going to cruise just through the office. And just one side note with it, we actually designed the renovation to our own building, which was originally constructed in the 1980s, early 90s, 80s, I think. But our flagship facility here, we renovated over the course of a year. We did our own, it was an occupied renovation. So we always tout that our firm is, anybody can do a new construction project, but a firm that can design a project where there's people you got to move and work around in phases is really a specialty. And it's something we're very proud of and that we're very good at. And with post-pandemic design, we'll see a lot more adaptive reuse, renovations, reconfigurations, things like that. And that's really where we shine. So our own office, over the course of the year, we renovated, and we really went from a late 1970s, 80s look and grass cloth walls to modernity. So we'll love to share that with you, and we'll just play a little quick reel here. Back that up a little bit.
We don't hear any audio.
Let's see here.
Is there a mute button down in the lower right there? On the end of the volume bar?
Where's that? Let me turn it
On the bottom of the page, volume bar, there's a,
oh, that's the first
at the gray bar, far right of the gray bar, was that muted?
Nope. Let me turn it up.
His was really low, so.
Shaderica, I'm gonna hit play. Tell me if you don't hear music in a minute, okay?
Okay.
And if you don't, then we'll find another way to do it.
No, we still can't hear him.
Well, we'll just show you the tour. That's okay. There's music.
That's totally fine.
But y'all can still see our space. So welcome to our new office.
That's where we're sitting.
And don't get motion sick. We were moving pretty quick. We wish you could hear the music, and I'll put some fun music on it.
And you have architects, engineers, all in the same.
Yep, all in house. The whole
Yeah.
team there. Yep.
But right now we're going through departments. So this is marketing you're in now. We just went through civil before that. And off to the right there is structural department. And now you're coming back to the architecture department. There's me.
So you're all in the main conference room, and then that was like a mini conference room for the architecture department that we just saw?
No, we're in the conference room up front, very similar space. We're in the small conference room now. We have a big boardroom across the hall, the table with, I don't know what, 18 chairs in it, maybe. Giant table.
This is our accounting, backstage for our CEO, that his team and accounting. There you go.
Homes.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you couldn't hear the sound, but we had a lot of fun putting that together for you guys. That was our amateur videography reel. So first of hopefully many to come. Shaderica, can you hear us okay now?
Yes.
Okay, well with that, now that you've kind of seen who we are, what we do, a little bit about the history, we're gonna let Greg kind of dive into some of the projects we've done in the past and then what we've currently got on the boards. And again, if y'all have any questions, pop in. We'd love to hear what questions you have, especially from the technical aspects of the projects, whatever you're interested in learning more about. And you can just click and it'll advance, yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Skinner, SCAD alumni. First of all, I'd like to hand out Valentine's to my peers here.
Thank you.
And a Valentine for all of you out there, just to send out good greetings. Hussey Gate Bell, for me, started 6 years ago when I first came back to Savannah, and it's been 6 years, 2014. It's 21.
You're getting close to 7.
Wow. So I've had a few projects under my belt since I've been here. A little about me, I graduated 2006 from SCAD. Went to Atlanta, met my sweetheart in SCAD in architecture school. She's also an architect. So I was working on my thesis, had my head down, and she says to me, "Hey, I got a job. I'm moving to Atlanta." Really? Okay. Graduation comes around. I'm moving to Atlanta. What are you doing? I guess I'm moving to Atlanta. And now I'm back in Savannah with 2 sweet boys. Let's see here. Let's talk about projects, I guess. This is Rusakis Plaza. You guys all been down to River Street, poked around here, I assume. This is one of our seminal projects early on in the growth of Hussey Gate Bell.
What's fun about this project too, and this would never happen in today's world, but lore and legend says that this project was done on a handshake. At that time, they didn't have big formal contracts like you now see today in local government. And this is probably one of our signature projects, really.
Yeah.
So if you've ever been to River Street, think of us. And you're walking on, just so you know, where the river is in this picture on the left, the piles under there go all the way back to where the railroad is, where the cars drive. That's all on piles. So just think about that when you're walking around down there sometime.
It's pretty interesting.
And the ballast stones that created the cobblestone walkways, those came over on ships and they were piled up and they were eventually reused as the cobblestones you now see down there. So it's a pretty cool project.
It is. So talk a little bit about some of our projects here. This is a local project, Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center. It's a community center over on the east side a little bit, right on Pennsylvania Avenue. It was an interesting project. I guess I was project manager on this, but really Lauren Prefer, the architect you saw earlier, this was her project and she ran with it. And I just sort of watched as she made it happen. She's very talented, thanks to SCAD. But it's a nice place, a nice space. It's a welcome opportunity for this neighborhood. It has not your typical community center activities. It has kind of a mixed daycare, play area upstairs, along with spaces downstairs for community meetings and training. So people can, everything from teaching young parents diet and nutrition so that their families can better grow, and to workforce training. So it's a nice space, and it's a nice building, and a refreshing change, a refreshing addition to the community. So this is Mercer University's medical science building. I think they focus on nursing and basic sciences training here. How tall is this building? 6 stories, 5 stories? Mercer University in Macon, Georgia.
4-story, 144,000 square feet.
She knows. She has all the stats.
I'm a robot.
But it's a pretty interesting building. This is kind of our wheelhouse of what we do. You're seeing community buildings, university buildings, which you'll see some more of. Mercer University is a pretty interesting project.
I think you got a video to show them too, don't you, Greg?
Do we? Let's see.
Walk you through it a little bit virtually.
It looks like in order to, if you want to pause the video, if it has audio, it looks like you may have to select to share audio as well, like how you shared the screen. It might be down there as well.
I can't see that far because just can't.
Give us a minute. We'll see. I think it was Jesse in the group that had a suggestion maybe in the
Yeah, she was saying
audio.
hear the audio.
Let's see here.
Oh, it looks like you have to do that before sharing.
Maybe stop share and then just reshare.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a moment. Let's stop for a minute there. All right. And now, D, where's the reshare?
Right there in the green.
Do we need to hit audio
Okay.
settings first?
No,
There?
I'm not on mute.
Okay.
My backup plan is to give this whole presentation and walk around with an iPad.
All right. Let's see here. Looks like you can hear us here. D, do you see something I need to select differently?
No, when you scroll down now, there might be.
Let's see here. Well, I think it's okay, Shaderica, if they can't hear the audio, really the visuals are kind of what's key with a couple of these. We do have another video later though, that's the school system.
Okay,
Hear that
no
okay?
problem. No problem.
Okay. We'll do our best. How about that? All right.
Say it's like a checkbox that's like down in the corner when you go to share the screen.
So hit share screen
Okay.
and then share sound left.
Voila. Is that Jesse?
Yes, hi, it's me. I'm actually the president of the AIS chapter here at SCAD this year. Thanks for doing this for us today. We're really excited. And
Oh, we're just as excited, nervous too.
Do that one.
Tough audience, you guys,
Thanks for your heads up here. Here, we'll play a quick snippet. Tell us if you can hear this, please.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. All right, we'll go back to the beginning. Thank you so much. You can come be our IT specialist here at Hussey Gay Bell next. So we got a little video. This is, as Greg was talking about, this is, we thought it'd be kind of cool for you to see Mercer's project. It was a huge project over 3 years, and it ended up being, there's a quad there where this building was designed to kind of close up that quad, if anyone's ever been on the Mercer campus, and really serve as this anchor to the science kind of quad they've got going up there. So we'll just show you a quick little snippet of what that looked like. And this was, like I said, over the course of about 3 years.
Far along in construction. As we start to go in. Top down or bottom up, wherever they start, they're starting to close it. So as the outside works, starting to finish up, the inside works taking over too. Technically, they're not supposed to. Further here.
pretty much open.
Plaza. Back quad starting to open up. You see students moving around. One of the complexities of building in a university is how do you do this with on an occupied campus? Concrete mixers, trains, students.
And what's kind of fun about it is, like Greg's talking about, and we talked about this yesterday, being an architect is so much more than being an architect. And Shaverica, you can probably relate. It's about project management. It's about dealing with clients. It's communicating constantly. It's not just the designs and the drawings, and projects like this really require intimate coordination with stakeholder groups, user, your end users, the contractor, students. It's pretty incredible. So,
And we've got a question. So when
Good.
designing buildings for campuses like this, how does your design process vary versus if it was a lone state?
Alone what?
Site, sorry.
okay. That's probably too occupied.
Well, I
Campus
mean,
and security design, things like that.
so it seems like a site-specific question. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but also give you a little bit about particulars about a university project. So
It's a good question.
working on an isolated site, you have almost free reign to stage and set up how you need. So this is going to be a lot of the contractor's responsibility, but you as the owner's representative, your expertise in construction are going to help advise the owner. So if you look at the image on the screen now, you'll see a giant site cleared out behind the building. Not a lot of traffic. You can probably come and go off of, one or two construction entrances. Working on this university project, you can see here we're surrounded by buildings and pedestrian quads. And there's one access point in the back from that parking lot, which is full of student
I
cars.
need to use that to point to anything.
Early on, you'll be developing a construction phasing and activities plan with the contractor, and particularly on this project with Sheridan Construction, who are exceptional builders, in how to get in and out of the site without disrupting activities. Working with the university client, we're client-centric business, so we are constantly keeping the owner engaged, as well as Sheridan keeps the owner engaged, and we work with them. It's not like we say, hey, this is what we're doing. We put proposals forward. Hey, we'd like to come in this way, and we'd like to bring concrete mix in and at a certain time. And they say, no, that's no good. We've got classes or we've got exams, or everybody piles in and starts parking to go to class at, make up a time, 9 a.m. So you need to get guys in and out of here at, between 7:30 and 8:30, so that there's not a conflict. And so it's choreographed and coordinated with, and conscientious of all the stakeholders involved. I mean, the owner is spending tens of millions of dollars on a project like this. What was this building? 30 million?
43 or 44, excuse me, 44 million.
$44 million to build this building. So with those dollars, they have a significant say in, what's going on. And there's a lot of push and pull. Everybody has to make compromises. The contractor, like I said, has to make compromises to accommodate the owner, but the owner also has to make compromises in understanding that, once this process starts, once the shovel's in the ground, time is money, and things have got to keep moving. So shutting off a section of the sidewalk, making students walk around, because you can't do certain activities safely. You saw the guy on the lift at the end there cleaning something or putting something up on a soffit in the window, and students walking by. There's questions of safety there. So now, I guess that's a little bit of both, working with the university client and versus just a regular site. The same kind of accommodations we would put forward to accommodate a university client would be put forward on like the blank site in the back there. That would be, looks like a baseball field or something being, the baseball field being worked on, but the same level of access and coordination is different versus being inside a campus. That's a long-winded answer for you.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. No, it answers everything that I was wondering about. Thank you.
Okay. If we don't answer a question, just tell us you need more information. So we always like to ask and make sure we did. Do we have any more questions? Okay, Jesse, thanks for being brave with your question. We'll hope we get a second one.
Next.
All right.
All right. Project highlights. So here's a small university building we built in Liberty County in Hinesville, about an hour south of Savannah.
Where I live.
You live in Hinesville now?
Well, no, I live in Liberty County. It's about
Okay.
45-minute drive to work.
This project was originally for Armstrong University here in Savannah, but has now been absorbed by Georgia Southern. So it's Liberty Campus, Georgia Southern University. They were operating out of a strip mall, providing university extension services to folks in Hinesville. Hinesville also has Fort Stewart, which is a giant Army base. Just an hour south of here, Army Rangers, Green Berets, paratroopers, helicopters, all that stuff, tanks rolling out. But those soldiers are also clamoring for an education, and Armstrong recognized that and decided they needed a brick and mortar presence that reflected their identity. And so we helped them envision this building to provide those services. This building has some basic science labs and regular university lecture spaces to facilitate that for Georgia Southern, or Armstrong at the time. It's a nice project. It's another project I worked on. Savannah State University Science and Technology Building. So this is part of a 2-building project for Savannah State University. I'm not sure how they packaged this to the state to get approval for this, but it was 2 buildings at once. This one in a marine science building, which was also pretty interesting. Savannah State decided they were going to take a bunch of different science and engineering groups and mix them in one building. And they're trying to foster a more interdisciplinary cross-pollination of ideas among students. So there's chemistry labs in here as well as civil engineering labs. And the rest of the labs are basic sciences labs. You guys are familiar with the black countertops and Bunsen burners and snorkels to exhaust fumes. That's what goes on here. So you'll see in the lower image on the lower left, the building's broken up into an atrium, which you can see in the top picture, but on the right side's offices, the left side's labs and classrooms and lecture halls.
Can I say one more thing about this project too?
Yes.
I think it's interesting for students to know too, just because you come to work, let's say at Hussey Bell as part of the architecture team, this project we actually collaborated with an associate architect on. So a lot of times specialty projects, especially lab facilities, there's opportunities to collaborate with other architecture firms. So contingent on project scope, sometimes we'll seek out that partnership with an associate architecture partner. In this case, we brought Lord X Sargent on our team, who's now a Katera company, but we brought them on specifically for lab planning and some of that programming early on because that's their niche and that's their expertise. So I think it's fun for students to know that while you go work at one architecture firm, doesn't mean you don't have that opportunity to collaborate and be innovative with other architecture firms, because the bigger the projects are, they provide that opportunity a lot of the time. And this is one example of that.
Okay, we've got a question.
Good.
With science buildings like this, can you elaborate a bit more about the building systems? Are they special because of the programming within the space? building systems like HVAC, et cetera.
Absolutely. So this building is not as complex as the marine science, but it is. So on top of this building, you will see what are called, it's on the other side, hidden in the roof, and a roof well, strobic fans, which are, they're tall chimneys with a mechanical unit underneath, and they suck out and specifically exhaust laboratory exhaust at a specified height above the roof at a specified velocity. So that cascades through the building in terms of basic comfort levels, air changes per hour for the regular mechanical systems. There are some simple additions, you know, there's gas for Bunsen burners and just normal water. The marine science building, although I think it has, you know, probably, you know, 20 miles of copper pipe in that building because of its specialty functions. So they have some of the same laboratory spaces, countertops and gas, but they work with water a lot and aquatic life. So they have different kinds of water. So they bring in seawater, and then they filter it to use in a special room where they can set it up how they want. It's kind of a flex space. So it's basically, if you go to the pet store and you see all the fish tanks on the wall, but this is for you know, marine biologists. So they can set up the room with fish tanks. When we were leaving, one young PhD person who was growing coral as one of her experiments that's already started. They moved in right away and started using the building. And so the processed water that moves in that building went everything from seawater to reverse osmosis, purified water for a variety of whatever experiments they were doing. You know, so, you know, you change, if you're growing a coral or seeing how the salinity levels in the ocean change affect life, they can simulate that in their lab.
This project too did have a saltwater specialist consultant specific to.
Yes, so
that
yeah,
component.
we did. We have the engineer is an aquaculture specialist, so he specializes in designing systems for Paul. What's his name? Paul. Anyways, they specialize in designing, you know, essentially fish tanks, but he's at the next level. So he designs, you know, all the different piping and works with the plumbing engineers to get it set up. This was a pretty interesting project.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Good deal. Thank you. Good question.
All right. Project highlight reel. So this little building is an example of an adaptive reuse building. This is at Georgia Southern University. You see the big box in the back. This is a dilapidated old natatorium where they have the swimming pool, and at the Georgia Southern Hanner complex is where they have their basketball arena now. And this is just stuck off the back. So we renovated the inside and turned it into a series of offices and lab space for the kinesiology and sports medicine guys. So you're seeing the white box in the bottom below. That space, those rails on the wall are covered with cameras. And so the track in the floor is embedded in the floor, and they can measure the force that you put forward when you're doing a specific walking gait or taking a running stride for a specific kind of sport, or swinging a tennis racket for the tennis team. There are different spaces in there. They have a small office space. If you were injured on the football team, they'll stick you in this room and see if you've got a concussion. And so they put the dots on you, and then they video you. And then the analytics of the force plates in the floor will determine, how much impact is going on in the your body. And then it put together these cool 3D images. It was interesting, little project. We put a little glass box on the front as an entry point that they said they didn't really need a special entrance. So they turned it, this is where all their TAs reside. And this is, so their TAs offices is in that front little glass box. And then you go down the middle of the pool house and there are these labs off to the side where they can analyze your, this is Jenkins High School under construction now. Oh, gosh, I don't know, how big is this thing? It's like
Over 200,000.
over 200,000 square feet. It's close to $50 million. It's under construction now. I think we're approaching occupancy this summer for a 2021 fall opening, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
My involvement, I only had a little bit of involvement early on in site planning and some early conceptualization, which was close to this final scheme, but Kevin took over this project and has brought it forward to fruition.
We've got a video,
We've
don't
got a
we?
video for this one too.
Yeah, so let's see here.
Take you on a little
The
walk.
Jenkins
here.
High School project offers not only a great view of what the future will look like for schooling, it also offers our students an opportunity to be in a world-class facility. It uplifts that community, and of course, it involves jobs that are local. Our pennies are kept local, and that's what we'd like to see happen with each project.
We talk in education about collaboration and collaborating among teachers. And from the very beginning of this project, collaboration was key. There was collaboration among the students, the faculty, the community, the business partners, the team that designed the school. So the collaboration that's been a part of this has been phenomenal.
During the design process, because we had the relationship with their STEM students, we had some of our younger architects come over here in the early stages and actually let them play with some designs for a while and then let them come to our office to see the design develop. We've been working with the Explorers Club and their engineering kids for 10 years. So this was a special selection for us and we were so honored to be picked.
I take some engineering classes because I'm part of the engineering school here. And I've been through like almost every single classroom in this building, like whether it be the fabrication lab, our gym, every part of this is like a huge part of my own school community, and seeing that building outside go up has been like an incredible experience.
The Chatham County School Board should get a lot of credit for not just expending the East Blos, as they say, but they're committed also to using local design firms, local landscape firms, local construction subcontractors, and the local firms, both construction and design. Of course, we're paying property taxes. Our kids and grandkids are in the school, so it's a real blessing to be able to work with Chatham-Savannah School Board on these projects.
It's a prominent project, and it means a lot for us to be a part of that and give back to the community. It's put a lot of people to work here in the local community.
East Blos, all of these sales tax that helps pay for capital improvements are a benefit to the taxpayers because it's shared with out-of-town people. So, you know, whether it's investing in new schools or whether it's investing in increased security or technology or athletics, there's a lot of stuff that helps the schools be better. And so East Blos is a great thing, and hopefully we'll continue doing it.
Take it out there.
The Jenkins High School project.
All right. So here's,
Oh, sorry, quick
Okay.
question.
Woohoo!
Does your firm get involved with the style of learning for these new school projects for K through 12?
so it sounds like you're asking about the
Curriculum.
school systems pedagogy, you know, their, learning style of learning. So we get involved. We want to know the type of teaching method that the school is looking to use and the kind of spaces that can support that. But we also want to create spaces that can that are flexible to adapt, because over the years, I guess when I first started doing K through 12 projects, like Jerry Cooper in Atlanta told me that I've seen, pedagogies change and pedagogies since the 40s. And he says the one thing we need to do is design spaces that are flexible for future use. So right now, differentiated learning styles, active and engaged small group learning. Those are kind of buzzwords of the education and learning model, but that's today. We're going to learn something. We're going to find, it's constantly evolving, just like architecture and ourselves. So there's going to be a better way to do it. So we try to create spaces that are flexible for those future uses. So we definitely, early on get involved with the school board, the school system, and the principals of the school, and trying to find out what they're doing, what they need, what they want to do. Always keeping in mind of what may be coming down the road in the future.
Do you want to touch on with schools too? In particular, this one, they wanted to know how you could use design to teach, so that there were opportunities within the design for kids to engage in learning something from the design.
This building, I'm not sure what we did specifically to learn from the design. I know that we've involved some of the students during the process of construction. I know Lauren and I went early on. Jenkins is our STEM high school for Savannah. So we went and met with the STEM students and did a charrette with them and helped them understand what a charrette is, and do a design project where they designed their new high school. I don't know if this building has like a dashboard per se, like some LEED buildings have dashboards that should continue to display metrics on what's going on. There are some connected spaces for those STEM students and labs that go inside, outside, that allow them to, these kids are cool. They build robots and cars, and they're super smart, and they're off to, be engineers designing rockets, I think, but anyways, so if that answers the question. Jenkins.
The Jenkins High School.
All right, there, work in progress. So just some quick snapshots, and we'll just go to questions with this. So we do public buildings. Our style is, we don't have a particular style of architecture. I think we are more, it comes from whichever architect's working on the project combined with the client. So, if Sandy Springs is interested in a more contemporary building, or a university is interested in something with contextual elements of brick and cast stone that blend with their campus, there's two different clients, two different designs. So that's what you're seeing here. This is a confidential client. Headquarters now is working on this project. This is the master plan up here. The purple spot here is the office building you're seeing here. This is a maintenance and operations building here. And this is a big container yard back here to give you a clue to what this client is. But this building was designed around the concept of a Savannah Square and a grove of trees that they wanted to preserve, a grove of live oak trees along a busy main street. And so the building was set around that, and there's a parking deck here, the support building, and that's that project. And then here we're working on a courthouse. So again, completely different architectural envelope, I guess is the best way to describe it, but it's appropriate for a city hall, a community anchor, class assist style of architecture that communities want and ask for. So that, this is what they want and they ask for, we give to them. It's also a more complex project. There's some other spaces back here. I think this is a jail we're working on that goes with it. So you come out of jail, go to court, or good. Hopefully you keep going this way, but unfortunately sometimes you go back this way. So that's Toombs County Courthouse. Here's a school project for Savannah Country Day School. So again, this is contextually design building to fit in with the campus. This is their quad, one of their quads here. This quad is a series of square green spaces here, and there's another one over here. And so these stairs and everything face out towards this campus. This is a private high school here in Savannah. I don't know if you know this school. It's pretty simple party, central atrium and circulation space with enfilade arrayed spaces. And that's us. Oh, want to join us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna cruise through. We had a couple things. We spoke with Shaderica, and Shaderica, you said the kids are oftentimes, or not kids, excuse me, or young adults and adults, about how to get hired. Like you come out you graduate with your program, undergrad or grad, how do you come work for an architecture firm? So this is some of the team. Again, we've got about 120 people, so this is only a partial. But we gave some thought to a couple things. So, and I'll cruise through this. This is recorded, so you guys can come back to it. But like I said earlier, just about being engaged in the communities we work in. We also do a lot in the mentoring space. We offer internships, and we thought we'd do death by bullets this morning. So there's a lot of text on here, but in short, with the mentoring and internships both, we offer both year round. There's a lot of different things you can do. We mentor in the community with some of the kids in high school, whether that's like what Greg's doing, the ACE program, the Jenkins Explorers program, we do the Mayor's Summer 5. We're involved in a lot of different things that are trying to capture those kids in school. And then for, more the undergraduate and graduate folks, we get a lot of inquiries about internships. So I think that the thing that's important here is, of course, we offer them, they're year round. We get approached by grads and undergrads to come intern year round, really. So sometimes it's on you guys to express that interest to us. So we know you might want to come join the team. We're not necessarily going to try to find the interns. More oftentimes they come to us saying, I'm interested. And we have an online portal through our website. Danielle's added that here, where you can upload your interest right there if you're interested in interning. So, that could be anything from coming in for a couple weeks to shadow our actual real professionals, see what they're doing, or coming in for a part-time summer internship. And we have some folks, some of you may know Peaches Shipley. She's one of our interns, and Peaches this semester is not on, but last semester worked with us pretty much full time. So there's just a lot of different ways we can work with you to help you achieve your goals. But I will tell you, as we kind of go to the next piece, recruiting top talent. So we interviewed our own HR lead and also one of our principal architects, and we wanted to give you just a few things so that if you're trying to come into the real world of architecture or interiors, this is really what our folks are looking for. And a lot of it's going to seem very common sense, but surprisingly, a lot of people don't deploy these tactics. So we wanted to give you just a couple little snippets. So from HR, just getting to the interview, most of our resumes these days come through Indeed or like a similar platform. So I think even I just went through a stack of resumes for a position for our team, and I can tell you, the more you customize your response to a specific firm, writing a cover letter, using the words that they are using in the ad, in your actual resume or your cover letter, you're going to stand out from the pile much faster than someone just sending us a resume with experience. So really think about that. Who are you applying for? Why do you want to work there? Tell us, because we don't know what we don't know. And I think a lot of times there's a misconception we're going to get a resume and just assume you've got all the experience we need, and that's just not the case. So show us your personality. Tell us why you're interested in our firm. If you can attach a custom resume, like a lot of these online portals force you into their own format for a resume, which we completely understand when we're looking at them. But a lot of times the people that come to the top of the pile, again, they're attaching something that they've designed themselves, especially for those creative professions. Like if I'm hiring for a graphic designer, I would expect a pretty graphically inclined resume to come with it. So think about that, and where it's possible, attach that. Tell us where your portfolio of work is. Like I know in Peach's case, she's got a great portfolio of work. I could look at it online. I could look at it at my convenience. I could share it. So that's fascinating when they're looking for those architecture interiors.
Can I add something?
Yeah. Sure.
So, you know, you have to have your digital package, your paper package together, but it's very easy to delete an email. It's very easy to turn over a piece of paper.
Mhm.
It's a lot harder to say no to a person face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, I remember having this observation become strikingly true during the 2009 recession when half of my peers were laid off work. And the ones that stayed in the profession and were able to shift and get jobs seemed to be the ones that were willing to knock on doors.
That's right.
So my advice to you is not depend on a website and a link and a click and send your stuff. And, you know, I know people who say they've sent out 100 letters and they haven't got a job yet. I know people who have sent out, 5 and knocked on two doors and got a job. And there's a big deal there, because, we're people and we want to know people. So if you can break the ice, some tips maybe to walk into an architecture firm, be like, "Hi, I'm an aspiring architect. Can I have it? How about a tour? Oh, they're not available to talk. Well, how about a tour? Look for ways to show your interest in a firm. And then surprisingly, once you're getting a tour, I know somebody who did this. They walked down the hall, the principal of the firm was there, not the HR manager who screens the resumes, and they just started chatting and the person was hired that day. So there's different, I think it's almost mandatory, not different. It's not a different way to do it. I think it's what you should do is be willing to engage people on a person-to-person thing. I know it's hard. You're in school in Savannah and you want to work in New York City and you send out your resume and you hope for the best, but that's my tidbit of advice.
It's a good snippet.
Okay. And we have a question, actually, it's just a more general question, but about the different services that we offer. Would you say that having so many different services has helped you as a business to cut costs, or has it at times been difficult to maintain those services?
Do you want me to take that one?
I don't know. It seems, it's a double-edged sword, obviously. So you mentioned cut costs. The businesses that if times are tough and there's not work, sometimes people are let go. However, having the diversified services has provided the firm the opportunity. So we're strong in one sector, we can keep people on board.
That's right.
We don't have to let our talent go. So that reality that's there sometimes we're able to avoid because we're more diversified.
And another thing, our markets are diversified, where some architecture firms here's a good example. One of our regular associate architects specializes in arenas. And can you imagine the market for arenas right now with COVID? It's not great. So now those firms are trying to diversify their markets very late in the game, where we find safety. And Greg made a good point about when one service line's maybe one division, water and sewer is not as busy. Well, they can easily work in our civil private development group. So we're actually more nimble having all those services in-house. Architecture side, if architecture is slow, they can still help other departments do other things. So we can use our people in a lot of different spaces. And also on the architecture side, we do so many different types of projects within that space, local government, schools. We do some mixed use office class A stuff that if one market's slow, typically another one's busy. So we're very diversified as far as market segments and then our own in-house people. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, and we have another question.
Great.
Could you discuss the level of sustainability within the firm's work and mission? Is there a specific person or group within the firm that leads the sustainability front, Or is it a specialist you will bring on per project as needed?
Both.
So yeah, so there's two different questions there. There's a project base and a company base. So in terms of sustainability, I think it's goes from our figurehead down, that we work, we're all conscientious of our impact in the world. You know, turn off the light when you leave the room. Is a thing we've got. But you know, I'm lead AP, Green Globes professional. However, I hardly ever use it. Most of the time when we're working on green building projects, we hire a lead consultant. And that's simply because as an architect working on designing or managing the design of a building, it's a task. It's a significant task, and there's a lot of effort in, we will do the sustainable design and the sustainable elements will work with the consultant, but they really manage that task, if that makes sense. It's not just, we'd like to say it's holistic and beautiful and every building's designed as sustainably as possible. We have a basic specification and standard of sustainability as a minimum, but we don't always design every building to be a living building challenge, zero energy, net zero.
The client will drive that.
Right, the client drives that. So like the University System of Georgia, Board of Regents, the University System, one of those clients is, we want this kind of building. Well, what is it going to cost? And they said, well, we have $50 million to build the building. It's like, okay, well, we can build you a building for $50 million. Well, what do you want in the building? Okay. And then we get this wish list of everything that they want. And on that wish list are sustainable features. So, okay, yeah, we can give you a sustainable building, but at what level? Or what are those metrics? What is even, you know, it's kind of questionable rhetorically, philosophically, what is sustainability? But aside from that, using like a metric like LEED, you know, we will look for the low hanging fruit first, you know, what's least, and that means least expensive items we can find to implement, you know, be good stewards of the owner and public's money and building a public building. And then if they have loftier goals and they're willing to dig in and help us spend time, you know, spend money to help us spend time integrating more advanced systems to help them get to zero energy, then we'll definitely drive the bus and take the project there.
And a lot of it, hasn't it transitioned to just good practice, sustainable design? I mean, it's standard practice now for the most part, isn't it?
But yeah, that's what I mean. We have a standard specification and, you know, we try to be good architects and orient buildings and site buildings smart and sensibly in terms of and consider the environment, buildings, energy use, access to daylight. But it's not always feasible. You know, if somebody gives you a site that's, you know, faces the wrong way, and there's only one way that that box is going to fit on there, or that pyramid's going to fit on there, then that's the way the pyramid fits on there. Then you have to work with other means, other tools in your tool chest to help bring that building into a more sustainable future, or I guess sustainable future. I guess that sounds okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, that was very informative. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Good question. Do we have any others? Nope. All right, just a couple things. So anyway, we'll provide these. You guys are getting this recorded. Just other things to try to help you guys be successful. Just some good tips. This is not rocket science. These are things you guys already know, but it is funny. The good old stuff that people tell you they look for in an interview is still the same as it was probably 40 years ago. Just one quick note here, principal architect. This you saw Eric Johnson, one of our president of the architectural division, was in the Jenkins video earlier. We asked him a couple things like, once it gets through HR's review, they're looking for different things and they're vetting, you know, online profiles and things like that. Then you've got the actual technical professionals. What are they looking for? And these were a couple things from him. I said, well, what stands out to you? You know, and really, it's interesting when they get resumes, his comment was, we want to see that you're doing something during your education time, not just going to school, but doing something in addition to that. That's attractive to them, knowing that you're figuring out how to balance, you know, work with life. And it just shows some of those things that perhaps would be advantageous to a future employer, whether that's working part-time, working full-time, and going to school, doing internships. Whatever it is, just showing us that you're doing something in addition to your studies. He also mentioned that online portfolio, of course. Greg had great points though. Yeah, if you can talk to someone in person, use that network. And the last comment he had, I thought was pretty interesting, is he called it embracing realism. And he said, you know, when you get someone coming out of school to come interview that hasn't maybe interned and is transitioning to a new person coming in, they really want to know, you know, if we bring you on board and we invest in you, training, certifications, time, energy to grow you, we want to know that you're in it to be with us too. So some of that's convincing them through your dialogue that, you know, this isn't just something you want to come work with us 1 year and then move on. We want you to come, live, breathe, and learn. So I thought that was some pretty interesting feedback from him. A few tidbits from our own marketing group. Like I said, I just went through probably 80 resumes myself for our team. These are some things that I think will help you stand out in a crowd. And we're already into questions. So do we have other questions?
No? Oh. Does our firm have extended learning opportunities?
Like continuing education or? Yes.
So the firm does support continuing education. So let's see here, Craig Skinner, AIA, Lead AP, BD&C.
We got a few
And
RCA.
RRC registered. So each of these certifications, I've had the support of this firm or other firms in acquiring and maintaining. So this firm supports licensure, continuing education, and support for not just continuing education. So continuing education is required once you're licensed. So as a licensed architect, I'm licensed in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Virginia. I can't keep track of what's what. So 18 to 24 hours of continuing education with some states minimum of 18 units of health, safety, and welfare, basically in a 1 hour online class or a lunch and learn on a specific subject to maintain my license every 2 years. Plus Florida asked for a special course in advanced Florida building code. LEAD also requires continuing education. Green Globes does not. My registered roofing consultancy requires continuing education in building envelope.
And I think was the question how the firm supports that?
It says, does your firm have extended learning opportunities? And then also R or ARE?
ARE. So yes, so those aspiring architects working with us do get support for the ARE here in taking the exams. And, you know, although many firms do, I can't say all do, because I guess this question is scale and economics, you know, but this firm is generous in its support with anything, almost anything that you want to do that, because people like Stephanie are like, man, this is great. We look good in the community. You want to go out and do this and better yourself?
Go.
That makes us look better. Good. So she wants to, you know, market us that we're, you know, we're engaged and active people. And our clients like to see that we have professional credentials and know that they're hiring experts in what they're doing. And you as an aspiring architect going to a firm, it's not a question you should avoid. It's a question you should ask. Any firm you're looking to hire you, do they support ARE? We also provide study materials. I think there's a whole library back there of some stuff that is being shared between the Atlanta office and the Savannah office. I think they FedEx some of the study guides back and forth as needed. Does that answer the question enough? Or
yes.
Yeah, the firm in general, and actually it's funny, it's a good question, good timing, because we're trying to figure out how to make it even easier for our professionals to get their continuing ed, whether it's engineers, architects, or interior designers. It takes time. So we're trying to figure out how to bring more of it in-house to our technical professionals to make it easier, especially in the virtual world they can get.
So that's Stephanie's perspective, is looking over the whole firm, but in
Yeah.
architecture, a little bubble, we have an ongoing lunch and learn series
Right.
that Robert brings people in. But so we also have professional engineers here, and they have a whole different, similar, they're required to keep continuing education and want certifications in, wastewater treatment plant manufacturing processes, I guess. I don't know, but stuff architects aren't as much interested in as perhaps see, I was working on a program years ago, San Diego State, I forgot about this one, an education facility designed to be a registered educational facility planner. And that was being supported by a firm. And
I think the important thing is ask if you're not sure. Most firms like Hussey Gay Bell, if you want to be engaged in stuff, all you have to do is ask. And good leadership is gonna go, yeah, go do it. Whether it's community involvement, whether it's industry involvement, whether it's you need to go to a conference and get some continuing ed, ask. You've got to remember the world is your oyster. It's not if you don't ask. So if you ask, most good firms are going to tell you to grow, to learn, because it all comes back to the firm in the end. And if you're happy and also doing things, whether, I know Greg's talking a lot about the technical side and continuing education, but I think a good firm is going to allow you to do things that you're passionate about also in the community or the industry during work hours from time to time too. I know that I'm involved in a lot of stuff that takes work hours, but it's good for everybody. So I hope that adds on to also the technical side.
it does. I mean, I
We embrace
volunteer
that.
a lot too. I forget about the volunteers, and they support.
We do a ton of stuff.
I'm out interested in doing stuff, and this ACE program.
They say,
with
go.
Is a volunteer at Jenkins, and these are work hours, billable hours.
That's right.
They let me just go get involved. I remember being sent to the AIA convention, full ride, the previous firm, right out of school, my first year of school. And how it happened was I wrote a letter because I didn't know how to ask. So I wrote a ask letter, and it went over better than I thought. And I
ask and you shall be granted.
Typical 3-point essay where you cite 3 reasons why it will benefit the firm to send me to the AIA convention.
You did a thesis.
And I wrote this little, 1-pager, page and a half.
Qualify it.
Quick thing. And I said, I'm going to be a better architect. I'm going to come back with ideas. I'm going to bring things back to the firm. And I was so eager, I came back with stuff. I came back and I gave a little something, a little spiel on what I learned at the thing. And they were tickled pink, but I got a free trip to San Antonio for like 3 days, and they picked up my hotel, and all I had to do was buy tacos and beer. It was great. I mean, it was great.
I think the lesson learned is ask. And you'd be surprised what comes back from a good firm.
But the point was to ask with
qualifying statements.
Show that, you're ask for
value.
something that's gonna, everybody's gonna benefit from this. It's a win-win.
Right.
It's not, it's don't just go someplace with your hand out, and be like, I'm here, so I deserve this,
Right. And I think that touches on how you guys were saying for the interview process as well, let them know what you can bring to the table potentially, instead of just saying, hey, I want to work with you guys. So I think that's an awesome takeaway from this as well.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that is it.
It's been nice seeing your lovely faces on the Zoom call. I wish we could have walked around, had coffee and donuts here for you guys.
Next time.
One day. Well, I want to thank you all for presenting with us today. For Hussey Gay Bell, this was a really good really good session, and we got a lot of good information. I'm glad we had a lot of questions too, Roland. And I also thought it was cool, you know, when you mentioned, you know, the face-to-face interactions when students are trying to land internships. I definitely attest to that as well. And I think for the students that are listening, even if you try to use your spring breaks to go to these locations, you know, business and pleasure, and then, you know, go in and try to introduce yourself to these firms. I think that would be great.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of a no, you know, greet everybody with a smile. Not everybody's going to have a spot for you. It doesn't mean they don't want to give you a spot. It's just that, you know, sometimes the spot's not there, but, you know, you've met somebody. And another, you know, network with the AIA. It's a great opportunity to meet a lot of other professionals. Shaderica knows many of the architects in town now by participating through AIS and coming to our board meetings. Unfortunately, a pandemic has kind of put the kibosh on in-person meetings, but that's a great way to meet architects in your community in a casual environment and kind of get the lowdown on, you know, what's going on where. Who's got a grumpy boss, all that stuff.
True words were never more spoken.
Awesome. Well, thank you all and everyone. We'll AIS will have this recording available if you want to come back and look at it or share it with your friends.
Sure thing.
All
Thanks
right.
for visiting us.
Thank you, Shaderica.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
We had fun with y'all. Thanks for the questions, guys.
We log off or they log off.